Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I'm sitting down here in the basement and I'm getting tackle ready for the upcoming season, thinking about the schedule, thinking about all the baits I need, just the different things that we're going to be doing. And I'm getting pretty excited about it. And, I start thinking about the schedule, and there's lakes I wish we weren't going to, lakes I wish we were going to, or lakes I wish we were going to at a different time of the year. And I thought what I might do is put out there what I think are my my top 3 smallmouth bodies of water, my top 3, worst, or not worst, but underrated body of waters, and then my 3 best trophy potentials where I think we may see a world record get broken sometime soon. Unlike largemouth, the smallmouth record is, we've had some fish starting to get up into that same range. I think it's potentially possible that we could see a world record smallmouth, any time now. I know there was a happening of events in California, a handful of years ago where we were getting some 20-pound largemouth, starting to get up into that range, but it feels like that's kind of fallen off, and the smallmouth populations are starting to ramp up all over the country. And I think there's real potential it could happen sometime soon. So I'm going to start off with my 3 most underrated fisheries. That's what we'll say. Overrated and underrated. And actually, I'm going to start with my overrated. I think there's, we'll get that out of the way first. So the first one, and these are really in no particular order, but the first one I'm going to go with is Lake Pickwick down in Alabama. I know that the lake produces some really nice fish. There's some, true giant trophy potential, but really the majority of the smallmouth fishing they target the smallmouth, within a couple miles of the dam. Once you take that short stretch of water out, the population isn't that great. You can catch fish throughout the entire lake, especially during the winter months, but really the majority of the fishing is close to the dam, in the tail race area. And, when you take out that area, the lake itself is not a great smallmouth fishery. There are, like I said, true giants, but overall, I would rate the lake as being very highly overrated because of that one small stretch of river. You take that out and the lake itself is not anything special in my opinion. So Pickwick Lake, overrated. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with Lake Erie, which we just had a tournament there this year. And when you have as many people running insane runs across the Great Lakes to get to better smallmouth spots, it makes me question the lake itself. And I guess when I say Lake Erie, I'm talking about in general where most of the tournaments go out of in Lake Erie. So the Sandusky Bay area, where you've got, the Bass Islands and just that area in general. There are definitely very good quality fish there, just like the rest of the Great Lakes. The average size is good, but it's tough to catch smallmouth in that general region of the lake. And I know that, there's windows where the fishing is good, but, to me, a true world-class fishery doesn't have to be just a seasonal timing. You should be able to catch the fish year-round. And truly, in my opinion, the Sandusky Bay area is overrated when it comes to smallmouth fishing. I know the bags are going to be great. The winning bags are always good. But again, it doesn't necessarily tell me much about the fishery when the top bags are big. I want to see the people in the middle pack of the field have really nice bags too. And in this case, Lake Erie, I think, is on the downslide. and it's not as good as it used to be by any means. My third overrated lake, and I'm sure this is going to ruffle some feathers as well, is Mille Lacs in Minnesota. That place, again, has very large smallmouth in it, but in my opinion, the population of fish is not nearly as good as it should be for a lake that size with the habitat that it has in it. It's got some excellent year class of fish, but in my opinion, the fishing pressure over the last handful of years has really hurt the fishery. Now, that's not to say you can't go there and have really good days. The guys that fish it a lot of the guides over there, my buddy, Josh Douglas, Andy Young, there's a whole handful of guys over there that are really good fishermen and will put you on fish and continuously catch, 20-pound bags worth of fish. But for the average fisherman, and I hear this from a lot of people I know that go over there, they go there and they struggle. And it's not like you just pull up and catch fish. It's a great fishery when it comes to size, but to me, it's not the type of, it's an overrated fishery. It's been rated the #1 lake in the country. I do not believe that it is that by any means. So those are my overrated fisheries. Let's go to my 3 most underrated smallmouth fisheries. So the first one I'm going to go with is Lake St. Clair. And I know that that's going to sound, funny to people because it's always considered a great smallmouth fishery. But there's very few places I've ever gone that has the size that place has and has the numbers that place has. It's not uncommon to go out and get into a flotilla of 30 boats and everyone is catching fish that are just, averaging 3 to 4 pounds. I mean, and there are just thousands and thousands of fish. I mean, you'll have a several square mile area that is just littered with boats and everyone is pounding on them, just not doing anything special. Like once you're in the fish there, you're in the fish, and it's very impressive, and it's like that year round. It's not just a seasonal thing. So as highly regarded as Lake St. Clair is, I truly believe that it is probably the best smallmouth fishery overall in the country right now in terms of numbers and average size. It's a tough place to beat. It's a great fishery, and it's not hard fishing. Really the worst part about it is you're dealing with weather conditions. And if you have the wrong weather conditions, you could go for, a 2-day trip and never really get out on the water because it's just Great Lakes fishing. So another set of underrated fisheries is really the Great Lakes as a whole, outside of any of the tournament sites. So you've got areas like Chequamegon Bay up on Lake Superior, phenomenal fishery, tons of fish, great quality, lots of 3 to 4 pound class fish, just a great fishery. Saginaw Bay over in Lake Huron, that's another one we don't ever really hear about, but it's full of fish and giants. I mean, it's a great fishery as well. So you've got a lot of these areas. I mean, Lake Michigan, Traverse Bay up in the upper, the upper part of Michigan, the Traverse Bay area is another one. Like, I don't know why we're not having tournaments in these areas, but they're beautiful and chock full of giant smallmouth. Downtown Chicago, Lake Michigan, they're starting to get some pretty good fish. The state record was broken down there. I mean, the population is expanding. So there's a lot of areas. Bay de Noc is another one. I mean, I can just keep rattling on and on, where the fishing is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, over by Buffalo, that's another site. There's a lot of areas on the Great Lakes that are relatively untouched. Thunder Bay is another one on Lake Superior up on the Canada side. Georgian Bay. I mean, these are gigantic bodies of water that are being untouched. And I just think that there are a lot of areas that fish every bit as good as the areas we know in the Great Lakes, but they get such little pressure that the fishing is just phenomenal. I mean, I've gone to a bunch of every place I've mentioned I've been to, and I mean, they're better than the places we go for the big tournaments. So those are, well, so that I consider that one area. The last lake I'm going to mention, and it's not, I just don't think it gets the reputation of being a smallmouth fishery, and I think in the next 10 years you're going to start hearing about it, and that's Lake Mead in Nevada outside of Las Vegas. That lake is chock full of smallmouth. The average size is getting bigger, and you've got a ton of bait. It's a super deep fishery. Like I just think there are a lot of big fish in there that have not been tapped yet. And I think the population is expanding rapidly, and we're going to see some really nice fish. But you can go there and catch an absolute ton of smallmouth, you know, and there are some big fish in there. There's been rumors of a new lake record being broken this year. And really, this is going to lead me into my next section of trophy smallmouth potential fisheries. But the body of water right below Lake Mead is Lake Mojave. So it's on the Colorado River. Literally, it's right below Hoover Dam. And that place, to me, has the potential to break, you know, a world record smallmouth. They catch giants, absolute giant smallmouth there. And, you know, it gets a lot of pressure from the locals, but outside of the local area, people don't know about it. And I think there's potential we're going to hear about Lake Mojave as being a world record potential smallmouth fishery. So that's my first world record smallmouth potential fishery. The second one that I'm going to go with is Sturgeon Bay. And Sturgeon Bay could easily have been on my most overrated list as well, because people think it's an absolute phenomenal fishery, and it is, but it shines in May. And if you're not there in May, the lake, or the body of water, the fish spread out, and it's not nearly as good. It's still a great fishery. It's a Great Lakes fishery, but I think it could very easily be considered an overrated fishery as well. And it's one of my favorite fisheries by all means. But when it comes to world-class fish, like trophy potential fish, there are multiple 8+ pounders caught every year out of the Sturgeon Bay area. And at some point, it would not surprise me to see a 10-pounder caught. I mean, the fish there are just built right, just tanks. And the Wisconsin this past year just allowed bass fishing to go catch and release all year. We used to have an opening weekend for bass fishing of the first weekend in May. Well, I mean, there's been years where they were spawning, some years where the water, you know, the ice had just coming off. But what that's going to do is it's going to enable a lot of people to get out there and fish when those fish are wintering or in pre-spawn phase, and they're going to weigh their absolute, you know, biggest weight for the year. And I think we're going to see some true giants caught this upcoming spring and the next couple of springs. It's a great big fish fishery in early part of the year. And my last place I think we potentially might see a world record sometime soon is the whole Thousand Islands area down into Lake Ontario. That's another area where, man, they just have so many 6+ pounders, and they catch some 8-pounders over there as well. I think, you know, really anywhere in the Great Lakes has the potential. The food source is right, the size of the fish, the strain of the fish. I mean, they're giant fish in the Great Lakes. But if I had to pick two areas in the Great Lakes to produce it, it would be the Thousand Islands area as well as Lake Sturgeon Bay. So those are my smallmouth hit lists. And man, if we only got to chase smallmouth all year, I would be absolutely ecstatic. I mean, they're just a blast to catch, and they seem to be getting bigger all over the place. Everywhere we go in the country, they just seem to be getting bigger. and more prevalent, and that's a good thing. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to do a few more videos like this. I'm going to do some largemouth video and a spotted bass video. So if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Leave a comment. If you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm way off the mark, leave a comment. Or if you've got a lake that you think I have to visit, please let me know. I mean, there are so many little smallmouth lakes around the country that just are full of big fish. But I'm trying to stick to the more national known lakes where the national tournaments go to. But if you've got some hidden little gems that you think I need to explore, please let me know. I'll definitely try to swing by if I can. And please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it. But stay tuned. We're going to do my overrated, underrated lakes for smallmouth, or for largemouth and spotted bass as well. Stay tuned.